Sound Like Muse intro.
I like it when we clap together.
Hello and welcome to Sound Like, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at Muse. I'm Harry and this...
I'm Dan.
He will be looking at the camera entirely this time as well. Always great to see such professionalism.
Indeed.
So this is our Sound Like series where we take a look at all the gear and the equipment we have in store and apply that to a band or artist that we like and that we think that we can make a good sound of or sound like, as we said. And also in the title of this video we're going to be looking at Muse. I'm a big Muse fan, so I think I have a fair few things on an authoritative stance, a fair few things to say. Dan doesn't know Muse, doesn't like me. He likes Supermassive Black Hole.
Yeah. I just like the big chunky riffs.
Big chunky riff.
I do like big chunky riffs.
Well, that suits me too. I love a big chunky riff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the inspiration for this is that I'm a big Muse fan and we have some of the Cort Mansons in store. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up to date with all our releases. Anything else, Dan?
I think we just get into it.
Let's go. Oh shit, I was literally about to just drag the stool over closer to you, completely forgetting the backdrop. So what is a Muse? Apart from whatever the dictionary definition of a Muse is, on screen now. Muse are a band from a massive city called Teignmouth.
A massive city, really?
Massive city, not on the River Trent.
Not on the...
Stop. Don't even... Shh.
No.
He might wake it. He will come. The three-piece band, known as Muse, have been going since 1994. As a small band that started out at a kind of a Battle of the Bands thing, rose shot to fame doing venues such as Wembley, and other such venues as well.
Did they start at Wembley?
They start, imagine that starting.
First gig, Wembley Stadium.
Well, actually, they were the first band to play Wembley. Always good to know. Stadium. Wembley Stadium.
Queen?
No, 2007. The new Wembley Stadium.
New stadium?
The new.
The new stadium?
New stadium.
A lot of bands have played Wembley.
Yes, since. These are the first.
And just Wembley in general, including the old one. I was like, since the dawn of time.
Since before steam was invented.
Before steam, oh, not again.
Yes. So they're known for making quite a wide range of music, from kind of pretty standard alternative rock stuff to kind of big kind of symphonic music that's kind of got a massive scale to it, as well as the production side being quite important in doing that. The guitar is essentially kind of capturing that sound. And what the Cort Mansons here, they try and do is to get that all available to you on an affordable kind of budget.
It's quite difficult considering the range of sounds that Muse like to make on their records.
Yeah, it's a lot of the approach in terms of that you'd have to kind of get a good sound like for Muse. It's not just the guitar, it's the pedals and the amps as well. That's what we will get into as well. But the guitar is where you're starting, and you may as well get something really appropriate, and there's nothing better than a signature guitar for that, I would say.
You can't really get any closer than that, to be fair.
No, and also if you want to kind of run around your bedroom and pretend that I'm Matt Bellamy, you can do that as well.
As Harry does often.
Shh. Yes. So what we have for you for this demonstration in terms of guitars is the Manson Meta Cort series. Thank you, Daniel. The ones that we have come in two colours, dry satin black, and the Meta Blue version, which is right next to me here. The difference between the two of them is the dry satin black has a P90 in the neck, whilst the Meta Blue has a Sustainiac. The Sustainiac is a staple on Matt Bellamy's custom guitars. He's been using them since at least 2001, but didn't really come hit full incorporation until about 2006. I'm a bit of a nerd on this. So yeah, you had your chance last time with Guns N' Roses. This is my time to shine.
Yeah. I'm here to look pretty and lunch.
The Cort Mansons are pitched as the more affordable Matt Bellamy guitar in terms of shape and sound, whereas like full Mansons could cost around like up to like 3,000, 5K. I should know I've got some Mansons.
Yeah.
The Cort ones are kind of pitched at a more affordable alternative around what we've got here, 600 to about 850 for the black and the blue respectively. For what you want in terms of the features that you get on a Matt Bellamy type guitar, it is a very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Kill buttons, big chunky humbuckers and P90s in the neck, or the Sustainiac, the signature body shape, which is licensed by Manson Guitar Works. It all really kind of fits into kind of that kind of ideal guitar that you'd have if you're a Muse fan, or you just like that sound, or if you just want something a little bit different. They do come off as quite unique looking guitars because it's a custom shape. I find them very comfortable. They're very striking. Dan's actually quite impressed with them.
The blue one in particular.
The blue one in particular.
It's just a bucket of fun.
A bucket of... Well, you want a guitar with a Sustainiac, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm looking into buying a guitar with a Sustainiac, so the blue Cort Manson is a little bit perfect. But let's consult the back first.
So in terms of the other specs, the guitars are a basswood body. They're quite lightweight, hard wearing. The paint job on the black one is quite hard wearing as well, so it can really kind of take a beating. They've also got locking tuners. The necks are a contoured 12 to 16 inch radius, so the further up the neck you go, the flatter the board is, so it's actually a lot more comfortable the entire way at the neck, which is a feature that I really like.
Yeah.
To be able to comfortably play anywhere on the neck, and it flattens out as you get further up. Less issues of choking. Your solos are going to come out well. You're not going to fluff up your solo halfway
It's
through.
one of my main problems with playing a vintage style guitar is because some of them don't have that compound radius. The higher up the neck you get, the harder it is to play.
Yeah, that's with a lot of the kind of vintage guitars that we've had when we've all kind of playing here and there. When we have a free moment, you go further in the neck and you try and bend, and then it just chokes out immediately, and it really puts you off wanting a vintage guitar. I think I might just be saying that as a younger person than the average vintage guitar player, which is about 55, 60 plus.
Well, I like vintage guitars, but if there was one thing I could change about them,
It would be that.
that's what it would be, because it does get quite difficult, and there's a bit of a knack to playing lead lines on an old guitar like that with a fretboard radius like that. You've got to understand the pressure of the fingies.
Yeah, totally. So it's very much the Cort Mansons and full Mansons as well, but very similarly, but just to keep in mind the price points that they're made. It's a very modern guitar, and a real enjoyment to play. And also the last feature that we haven't mentioned is they have a kill button. Really important to have. In terms of taking a step back, if you were to try and sound like Muse and you didn't have access to a Cort Manson, my suggestion would be to look at something that's got humbuckers. And if the kill button was important to you, not that Matt Bellamy is well known for using a kill button, maybe a few songs here and there, but if you wanted that feature, then you might want to look towards something with 2 volume controls and a 3-way toggle switch, like a Les Paul or a Tele Deluxe, where you can turn one volume off and they keep the other one open and use the pickup selector as the kill switch. However, the functionality of that is a bit different because it's not a button. It's not a push it in and it's dead release, it's off, it's up and down motion. It sounds completely negligible, but the way that kill switch is used is quite significant, so it's something to keep aware of. If you wanted to mod a guitar with a kill button, it's very straightforward to do. But the Cort Mansons are one that has a kill button built in straight away. It has a really good, powerful humbucker inside of it to get that real Manson, Matt Bellamy, Muse type sound of it straight out of the box.
So what you are saying is it's not 100% necessary to have a kill button.
No, it's not.
But if you want one,
Yeah.
they are very easy to install. You know?
Yeah. I've installed 2 or 3 on my guitars. A kill button is just a ground button, so you just need to take the live wire and then ground it, so it eventually just kind of kills the signal dead. It's a very, very, very simple piece of wiring to do. You could do it yourself if you wanted. Before we get into the demo side of it, it's quite a unique guitar. It's obviously based off a Telecaster and a Les Paul. If they had a love child and they kind of, got on really well, they were more than just roommates. So it's a very unique guitar in terms of the look, partly because it is a signature. Now, a lot of other signatures that you kind of come across will be just, the signature Les Paul, the signature Strat, or if it's a weird guitar, maybe an Explorer.
Yeah, it'll be a conventional guitar shape that's just had a couple of bits added to it.
Exactly, but this is this license body that is only licensed out by Manson Guitar Works, authorized to Cort. So it's a legit thing, it's a proper thing. Has Manson on the neck. So you get that sense that you're playing the real deal. It's just at an affordable price. With any further ado, let's listen to what it sounds like. And before we do, we'd like to shout out and draw attention to the wireless system that we're using, which is the Blackstar Airwire, lovingly provided to us by our friends at Blackstar. Works well just going straight into the amp and also straight into your pedals. So what does it sound like? So we move from guitars, as lovely as they are, and I kept on saying their name, to amps. Now, as you can see, this is a Blackstar, and what you might also then say is that Blackstar don't have the cojones to do a Muse sound.
Objection. Hearsay.
Hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
You might say that, but I say you're wrong. I have with me here a small list of amps that Matt Bellamy has used in his career, both live and in the studio. Matt Bellamy has used Marshalls, Fenders, Orange, Vox, Dickinson, Matchless, Soldano, Diesel, Kemper, and more. I know Kempers are modelers, but same thing. So from that, what that says to me, unless you have something to disagree with,
Not to my knowledge.
No, your knowledge, your
I
extensive.
don't have knowledge.
Your extensive Muse knowledge.
Yes.
Becomes a standard with Guns N' Roses knowledge.
Of course.
Of course, you're just so full of knowledge.
It's a package deal, some say.
No, it's my turn to be the little. You were a little slashlet. I am now a Matt Bellamyite. So what that says to me in terms of the range of amps that he's had and used over the years is that anything goes as long as it's got the power behind it. Now this is a 50-watt amp, so I say it has the power to go with it. I know that he has got a Black Star St James combo, the 6L6 combo, because a colleague of ours from Black Star said so. And I trust his knowledge. Now, because he's used quite a lot of amps over the years, I would argue that anything goes, because as long as it's got the power, it can do quite a lot of what it's trying to do. The amps that he has used over the years have been quite diverse. You know, Marshalls and Fenders, pretty standard approach, but they have a very different sound. The Marshalls are great for the rock sounds, and Fenders for the kind of the lighter sounds for songs such as Animals, for example, as opposed to something like Supermassive Black Hole, which is going to be something a lot more powerful than, I don't know, a Fender Twin.
So what you are saying is there isn't a particular amp that you go and buy from a shop such as this one, that you go,
Fine establishment.
Muse, that does a Muse thing. There isn't one of those.
There is not.
It's just what you get, it's not what it is, it's how you use it, is what you're saying.
How you muse it.
Yeah, how you muse it.
And how you want to muse it is generally push the mids quite a lot. In fact, all the way. His sound is very mid-focused. It's got a lot of push there. That's where the guitar sings. That's where the massive amount of its content comes from. So something that can really push in the mids is where you really want to go. I like the Black Star St James because I think it's quite versatile in terms of how it works, both as an actual amp with a cabinet on it, but also through cab rig to get extra sounds from it as well. And it's got a great mid push on it. It's a very simple 3-band EQ.
Sort of mid-hump again, isn't it?
No mid-hump, no humps here.
No humps here.
So we are a hump-free zone.
Yeah.
Much like me, hump-free zone.
After last time.
So with that, I believe that we have the EQ side of things covered. The other thing that you want to pay attention to is kind of what drive will the amp have. A lot of amps that we have here have just kind of very much one sound, or a lot with amps that we have here do have two sounds. They have a drive channel. This has two channels and a boost on top of it as well, which helps to push that sound even further. Now a toggleable boost like this has opens up a lot more. You can get a lot of push out of it. The more drive options that you have is going to be really useful for that very versatile sound that Muse has. Another thing that I like, we've already touched on it a little bit, is cab rig. For the demos for this, we've actually come out of the back of the amp to recording software to get a clean recording itself, and cab rig has helped to get that cabinet sound on top of it as well. And it's such a lightweight amp itself. The combo version of this, I don't know if you know, is like the world's lightest valve amp, and it really is light, and this head, it weighs absolutely nothing.
I can confirm the head does not weigh a lot.
I love it when head weighs very little. Going back to what you might have in your head of that Black Star might not be appropriate for it, what are your alternatives really for a Muse type sound? It is very easy to go to Marshall.
Yeah.
I mean, your experience of Marshall kind of talk, so what do you think that is, like the characteristics of a Marshall?
I think in terms of the characteristics of Marshall as a Muse sound,
Okay.
I think although it is mid-heavy, a Marshall tends to lack a lot of the low end that you kind of have to make up for by driving the pants off of the bass side of Marshall. The older Marshalls aren't too bad because they've got big resonant cabs anyway, so you do get the low end, but on something more modern like the JCM 800 Studio we used last time, that's something where you'd have to really drive the bass frequency in order to get something similar, I feel.
I think that what that says also, to me at least, is that a classic kind of Muse sound is very much more of a stack approach than a combo, just kind of based off what the low end is doing. Now a combo is great because it's, you know, a cost effective, it's an amp and a cab all into one, but it's usually a 1 or 2x12. Doesn't have the guts as a 4x12 does. So you want that big sound is very much a key critical part of it. Whilst Matt has used kind of combos for some things here and there, typically he actually has used a Vox AC30 for quite a bit. He uses the AC30 for more of the kind of the bright attack parts of his guitar tone, but the raw power of his tone has relied on what's coming out of a 4x12 from Diesels and Marshalls in particular.
Well, what I will say in regards to this amp is, although yes, it might be more associated with Marshall or a Vox IC30, I haven't studied Muse's sounds, but I think what we've got here does sound very close.
It's a great kind of best of both worlds. Obviously there's going to be some compromises somewhere, but I think you are right. This does have the sort of sound that takes the elements of what you kind of want from it. The fact that it can push the mids really quite well handles that bright attack part of it, and it's got a really good, a great kind of low end bass response, which helps to push the power with it as well, and also the treble to help kind of keep that clarity going, so that it's not sounding as though it's coming from the room next door. And it does have an effects loop on the back.
I think it's a great amp as well, because Muse have such a big range of sounds that it's versatile enough in what it's got to cover all of it. Ish.
Absolutely, that's the approach that I've gone with. Many amps that I've certainly come across with, especially looking at combos, it's one sound. Great, you can get drive out of it if you turn it up, but you might want an attenuator. It might not drive enough. And so with all that out of the way, I think we should listen to it.
Yes.
So we move through. Stop! Stop! Compose yourself. Be sensible. This is theatre.
Yes.
So we move from amp sounds to the pedals, which I think is actually the more exciting part of it. So to look at the pedals that we've got, we must understand the context. So Matt Bellamy uses his amps for a lot of his drive tone. As we've kind of seen, the St. James has a drive tone and a boost on it, but you want some more versatility from it. So normally that's where you use a pedal to supplement that sound on it as well. Because he's essentially just driving amps quite hard, it is essentially just an overdrive type sound. So what we're going with, Dan, is a Watt drive pedal.
This is the MXR FOD, also known as the Father Overdrive.
You can't say that. I'm going to have to censor that now.
Do apologise, but that is the name of the pedal.
Don't blame us, blame
MXR.
You'll notice that we've gone for a blend of Boss and MXR pedals because, well, largely that's what we have in, but also they are the kind of the meat and two veg of pedals. It's the standard approach. They are, you can't move for Boss and MXR. They're reliable, reasonably affordable. Everywhere is where they are. Why go for a weird boutique pedal when we know stuff like this will work?
Fun fact, a lot of touring musicians use Boss pedals purely for the fact of if one of them goes wrong or missing anywhere in the world.
Miss it. You mean someone could steal them?
Stolen anywhere in the world. You can find Boss pedals in any music shop pretty much.
So on the salt pans of Botswana.
Yes.
So for this demonstration, obviously we're going to be just using this one overdrive for the broad sense of the overdrive sounds that we've got. Whilst you can have multiple drives on a board, we just want to focus on one, as it is a reasonable approximation for a Muse type sound, and it's got a fun little name. Moving on to the next drive that we've got was this Boss Fuzz Weathercraft. Matt uses a ZFX Fuzz Factory for songs such as Plug-in Baby. That has a self-oscillating sound to it. The Boss doesn't, because it's a sensible pedal that doesn't squeal when you try and use it, but it does have a great range of sounds in it, from a vintage to a modern type sound. Do not ask me what that means, I just say it has vintage and modern on it because it says it on the pedal. For approximating that kind of fuzzy aspect of Muse, I think it works. It's up to you to decide in the demo when we play it.
Next segment.
Modulation. Matt is also known for using an MXR Phase 90, so why not have the pedal itself? Now tell me about the features of an MXR Phase 90.
Well, everybody sit down, get comfortable and grab a snack while I go through the long list of extensive features of a Phase 90, which includes this button and this single knob. That single knob.
Single knob. Matt doesn't extensively use the MXR Phase 90, he'll use it here and there for a few things, for songs like Plug-in Baby, Showbiz, Butterflies and Hurricanes, to name but three. Extensive use of delay. Now Matt has used quite a lot of delay units over time, particularly looking at Line 6 Echo Pros, or like very early on was the Line 6 DL4, that green delay
the
pedal.
big green wide thing.
No, well, that was a rack mount.
Yeah.
But he had the pedal version on screen now. We used that from like 2000 to 2002. And then went to like rack mounted units when he started using like MIDI controllers. So if you want to get a single delay that's going to encapsulate quite a lot of sounds in terms of a wide range of delays, I can't suggest anything better than a Boss DD8 because it's so versatile. It's got the standard or the digital delay, analog delay, tape delay, shimmer, reverb.
It does
reverse.
Do a bit of an everything.
It does all of the things,
yeah.
And I have this on my own board because it's very clever. And as a critical aspect for the delay, I would argue it's got a tap tempo as well. A lot of people will go for, say, the MXR carbon copy.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that before?
I haven't used it. I know it is an extremely
really good. It's got a great roll off to it.
Yeah.
That would have been great. There is a tap tempo version of the carbon copy, but with the versatility and the range of sounds in it, the DD8, I argue for my money, is a better option. If money is no object, I would then kind of go more towards things like he actually uses, or it's going to be like a Strymon timeline, or things that he has in Axe Effects, which is kind of where he's moved a lot of his effects and amp sounds to. On a budget, on a cheaper option from a brand that you can really rely on, the Boss DD8 is where you want to go because it is so versatile, it's really accessible.
Generally, if I need a pedal for anything, I start with Boss and MXR. And then go into more brands after that if I need to.
Yeah, exactly.
If Boss or MXR don't sell the thing, then I'm like, oh, right, okay.
There's no point.
Yeah.
Basically, actually, my board is entirely, bar one or two pedals, is Boss and MXR.
Yeah.
For context, because we love context on this show, here is my board. And before we get on to the last pedal we've got here is a RV6 reverb. He uses Strymon Big Skies for all of his reverb type tones, from big huge sounds to just using it to roll off or give some kind of body to his sound overall. Generally any sort of reverb will do the sorts of things that you want it to do. It can do big and it can do small. It's got all the kind of types of verbs that you want in there, plate holes, springs, whatever. Something that can emulate that is where you want to go, but I really can't fault Boss. The RV6 is a great pedal.
The RV6 is very much sort of, if you walk into a shop and say, hello, I would like a reverb pedal,
they will throw this in.
They'll just give you one of those and you'll be very happy and
you get a bump
forever and ever.
And then at the top of the signal chain is actually this Digitech Whammy 4. Now he's been using Whammy since the year 2000 in almost, actually pretty much kind of every version that's come out since the Whammy 4, for the 5 and the DT. Using mainly as a pitch shifter for songs like Newborn, Dark Shines, Invincible, the extended bit in Assassin, Hysteria, Recess, Sunburn, Dead Star, and many more. So it's a super critical pedal for that kind of musy sound, as well as pitch shifting for octaves up by 1 or 2. He uses it as a octaver, as a harmony octave down as well for live versions of songs like The Groove. I won't go into more for your own sanity, but it's a critical pedal for a big chunk of like Muse sounds. It's also used by bands and artists such as Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, Jack White from the White Stripes, Troy Van Leeuwen from Queens of the Stone Age, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. It's a versatile pedal that's been well travelled, and it really speaks to pushing your sound even further, to play around with sonic possibilities.
Those are definitely the bands I'd associate it with, is the guys who are a bit more experimental with their tones and their effects pedals. It's not something you hear every day, generally.
Well, I do.
Well, he does, but...
because it's on my board. Again, here it is.
And he does run around his bedroom thinking he's Matt Bellamy.
No, my living room, actually.
Yeah, living room thinking he's Matt Bellamy.
Do.
But...
quite am.
Generally in conventional music you won't hear very many whammy pedals, although I do rate them and think they're very cool.
I think they're a great pedal. I think they should be on every board. I think almost anyone who uses pedals would find utility in a whammy pedal.
I don't think you're going to use a whammy pedal every day, but it's good to have, because it has a lot of uses. You know, and something like an overdrive or a chorus pedal you'd use probably all the time. Whereas a whammy is like, oh, I need a thing for this thing.
It speaks to the kind of the opposite of where we've gone with the Boss and MXR, in that these are kind of your everyday, reliable, all the time on, almost. Whereas the whammy is very specific. It's a pitch shifter. It's not a drive or a delay. It's you use it when you want something to stand out. So it really stands out when you use it. There's no way of getting around it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely critical for doing something as crazy and experimental as a lot of Muse stuff. And taking a step back, I mean, a lot of Matt Bellamy's influences are kind of like classical music or spacey kind of prog rock stuff. It speaks to that as well. You can just lay down some chords and then play some crazy melodies over the top using a whammy pedal for like an octave up or down, to really get out there and really kind of push your own kind of compositional skills as well, as a writing tool.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of whammy pedals.
Yeah, they're great.
Had one on my board since 2008, because I'm very old. So with all of that done, accounted for and talked about, what do these pedals sound like? So there we go, that was how to sound like Muse at Fair Deal with guitars, amps and pedals. I think I would I'm right in saying, or right in arguing, that the approach that we've had is using quite fairly accessible equipment, especially with the pedals. I don't know if you would agree, but they're quite standard pedals. Apart from the specialist thing with the whammy pedal, my thought for this has been that people may think that Muse have a very complex sound. It's got a lot of specialist equipment, particularly with pedals or amps, but really I argue it's just the application, getting the most out of what you have. I mean, Dan, as a non-Museite, from what you've heard from the demos and what you've heard from Muse, and your own knowledge and experience about how music production is, what has been your kind of like takeaway from this?
I think my conclusion is that Muse don't have a sound based on a particular thing, and that in my opinion, I haven't listened to them side by side, but from listening to Muse recently as we've been shooting this video,
as I force-fed him Muse.
Yes, and from listening to the demos you were playing, I think it's really close.
Thank you.
So that is my opinion, and I think it's all accessible gear really. MXR and Boss, they're not ludicrously expensive. The Wazacraft's a bit more expensive, but it's again, you're not going to pay like £500 for any of these pedals individually.
The exercise of this has just been, what have we got in store at Fair Deal Music to sound like your favourite band? And my favourite band being Muse, this is what the best option that we've got with the stuff that we have. It changes every week. We do a lot in second hand, but as a snapshot, because we've got the guitars, I wanted to see what we could do to sound like Muse. The amp itself, I think is the strongest contender out of a lot of the stuff that we have in store, because it has a real great push for mids, the sonic capabilities with the cab rig to go straight into a desk and still have an emulated cab sound out of it, and an effects send and return, so you can put your time-based effects and your pitch shifting in there and drive the amp and still have that not affect the reverb from, say, the RV6. All those little things to help kind of get the most out of your gear, because what we did for this demo was just go all into the front of the amp. But it's a really super versatile amp. None of the others, largely, apart from massive heads, have that sort of ability, again, with the send and return.
I think for me, the amp has been the star of the show.
Absolutely.
In terms of all of the stuff that we've assembled, as well as the little star of the show, pun not intended. The little black star around wire.
Yeah, I really
Harry could dance around like an idiot while he was playing all of his Muse songs.
Yeah, I did run off while you were filming me, but you didn't follow me, so we don't have that footage. Me bombing in town, and then also I did a slide on my knees.
I'm very sorry to all the boys and girls at home.
Yeah, so you missed my bit of reenacting my school disco. And of course, if you want to sound like Muse, the best place to start is going to be the Cort Mansons, especially if you are on a budget. They've been absolutely brilliant. I think this rig is really good. Dan, where can they find the links to all the gear?
You can find the links to all of the gear in the description at fairdealmusic.co.uk. Please like the video.
And subscribe.
And share it with your friends.
Tell your friends. Ring the bell as well so you stay up to date with all of our releases. In the meantime, I've been Harry.
I've been Dan.
And thanks for watching.
Well,